Hello, everybody. Tark Patel here from SB Live. It's the CIF Southern Section Sit Down. Another guest coming your way. She's got 3 CIF Southern Section titles to her name in girls volleyball. One of the perennial powers in Southern California at Sierra Canyon. It's head coach Stefanie Wigfall in the studio. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome. I appreciate it.
Good. I'm glad you're here. We're going to have some fun. I've been covering your program for about a decade, gotten to know you and your 2 little boys via Instagram now. So we're in comfortable status and looking forward to talk with you a little bit more about, okay, I know about Stefanie Wigfall. I've watched her coach. I've seen her great players, but I want to start off by asking, hey, where did you grow up? Where did you play? How did you get into coaching? Kind of your origin story.
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up in the Antelope Valley, so not too far from where I ended up now. I'm a proud Quartz Hill Rebel.
Wow. See, didn't know that.
I know. I think they're the Royals now, which is fine. Graduated from out there and, spent my whole childhood out there and really wasn't much to do but play sports out there when I was growing up. And so sports were a huge part of my childhood. Started mainly basketball because my brothers and my cousins all played basketball. So I was surrounded by a bunch of boys that were playing basketball. And my dad was my first coach. He coached a little basketball. So that was really the main sport until I started playing volleyball later on in middle school and high school.
And how did you get, was that like the homie brought you like, hey, I'm going to go play volleyball, come with me? Was there an adult that influenced you?
I think it was just, hey, there's middle school volleyball tryouts.
Oh, okay.
Let's go see what that's about. And, you do everything with your friends. And so I'm sure I had some other girlfriends that wanted to go and play. And that's how it really started at middle school out there. And, I think I fell in love with the sport. I wasn't, there came a point where basketball was just too much contact for me. Right?
Okay.
And I was like, okay, this is a little too much. This is a little too much physicality out here for me. And volleyball felt just like the perfect combination, of athleticism and, a lot more freedom of movement and just felt like the right place. So I fell in love with the sport right away.
And so talk to us about what your amateur volleyball, like, did you play at Quartz Hill?
Yeah.
Hey, this is the platform. I always tell guests, let her rip. Tell us what you
gosh.
did. Tell us how good you were. Let's go.
I held my own in the Golden League out there.
The Golden League. Who was the rival of Quartz Hill when
it was Highland?
Well, okay. The Bulldogs.
Yeah, it was the Bulldogs. God, those were such fun times. But I had a great little prep school career out there. I was undersized. I maxed out at like 5'8", but I was a little bit of a jumper and I played outside hitter and I did well out there. I was I had the opportunity by the time I was done to go and play at quite a few schools if I would have made that choice. So I don't know. It was basketball and volleyball. I played basketball through high school as well. I had the worst jump shot in the entire Antelope Valley, but I was a great defender.
Okay.
I was a rebounder. I had steals.
So you were a good athlete.
I was a good athlete.
Yeah, that's okay. That's what it's sounding like right now.
I was, and it was fun, and I sound like my dad because he just thought I was the best out there, right? And so he was a real big motivator for me.
That's cool.
But I loved it. But I did a lot of things growing up in the Antelope Valley. It wasn't just sports. I was involved in, I was a journalist. I ran the high school newspaper.
Whoa.
And yeah, so I was kind of headed that route. So, it was such a great place to grow up. We all knew each other. We were very competitive because, like I said, there wasn't much else to do. We all just played sports and we took it really serious. So it was good.
I remember some of the better athletes I've covered in the high desert. I want to say Zaire Williams, who was actually at Sierra Canyon, out from that area.
Yeah.
Some of the Highland football guys and they all, I don't know if this was around when you were in high school, but they all resonate with this hashtag Dirt Made. And I don't know if you've heard. And so it's kind of what you're touching on. Really, there's not a whole lot to do. It's a little bit more hard hat, lunch pail kind of vibe up there.
It is.
You go to school and
we were latchkey kids. They called us
go.
Because our parents, back when I was growing up, and I'm older than some of those guys, but when I was growing up, the parents most of them were headed over the hill to work.
Okay.
They were leaving 6 a.m. They weren't getting back till 7 p.m. because they were commuting to the jobs, down in LA or down in the valley. So we were on our own a lot. All our parents worked, and they all made it possible for us to do a million different things. And on the weekends, they were, they were our warriors to all our different games. But during the week, it was like you went to school and you went to practice, and our parents knew we were in a safe spot doing something that mattered, that was making us, tougher and stronger. And so, yeah, a lot of us grew up that way, where our parents were working hard and we're out there. And, if you weren't doing something good, you were doing something bad out there. And so it was important that we all stayed engaged and, did stuff that made a difference for us.
So from that environment to Sierra Canyon in chat. No, I'm kidding.
I know.
No,
exactly.
we're going to talk about that, because
Exactly.
if that's really how you were brought up, and now Sierra Canyon, certainly, let's just call it what it is. That ain't a lot of the reality for most of your student athletes. We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you this first, though. Okay, you knew you wanted to coach, or did coaching kind of find you in a certain way?
No, I knew I wanted to coach.
Okay.
I think even back, there's stories of me being young where my dad was my coach, and I'm interrupting him in the timeouts, and I'm taking over, situations. My husband would say I'm more a little bit on the bossy side, probably, but in all honesty, I always loved that side of the game, like being the having that challenge of figuring out how are we going to beat this team, and what's our challenge, what's the problem that we need to solve. And I enjoyed that aspect of the game, even as a player. And there'd be times when I'd be out with an injury, and I would almost be like, I kind of like this. Like I miss being on the court, but
different point of view.
Yeah, my coaches would ask my opinion, and I would get really involved because I think they could see certain things in me, in terms of leadership and being able to see the game. And so I knew from a very, very early age that I loved that side of the game, and I loved just kind of being in control and helping teams figure out what they needed to do to beat the opponent.
So okay, so now you want to be a coach early on. How did you get into it? Where did you coach before you got to Sierra Canyon, things of that nature?
Yeah, that's a funny story. I was a freshman at UCLA, and I had the opportunity to go and play at maybe some smaller schools, but I decided I wanted to stay home, and I got into such a great school. I could have never played at a school like UCLA, but when I got there, I was missing the sport so much. I saw an ad in the Bruin paper that they needed a freshman coach at a school across the street on Sunset that you may know
Marymount.
that school. Yeah.
Wow, this is awesome.
Yeah, and so that I needed a part-time job. I was a freshman. I literally walked across the street, and they hired me on the spot. I was young. Who knows? They could have just been really, really shorthanded and needed somebody, and I was there. But the crazy part is I had no idea where I was walking into. Like,
okay.
I'm from Palmdale. I'm from Lancaster. I've never heard of Marymount. I think that I know high level volleyball. I don't know what I'm talking about.
You're naive, but it's probably a good thing.
Yeah, in a way.
Maybe if you don't, if you're a little starstruck by that or a little intimidated by that, maybe you don't walk over there.
Exactly. So I have no clue. So I get hired. A week or so later, I walk into the first practice, and I walk in, and I'm, maybe a year older than their senior class, and I just remember thinking, oh my God, I've never seen volleyball at this level. I've never seen girls this talented. I've never seen a program so structured and intense. And it was like, all right, here we go. I had the freshman team, and I watched and I learned as quickly and as good as I could, and I went for it. And the rest is kind of history. I mean, I had some really incredible mentors, obviously, from the very beginning, and they would always feed me with like this, mindset of like, you're really good at this, like you can do this. And so, I went for it, and I kind of poured into that side of it. And I think it's crazy that I was able to start at such an incredible school, but from day one, I knew what that looked like. And so I always had a roadmap of what that needed to look like in terms of the training and the discipline and the level. And so it was a huge gift to be able to start at a place like that.
Who was the head coach at the time?
It was Carrie. It was Carrie Klein.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I coached with Carrie for quite a long time in the beginning part of my career. And she taught me a lot.
That's
cool. Of what I know today. Yeah, for sure.
So you get to Sierra Canyon. You've been there for 13 seasons now. You've won 3 CIF titles. Just kind of give the viewers, like, what's it like coaching sports at Sierra Canyon? And I don't ask that to everybody because I want to give a little context. Sierra Canyon, and you can correct me on this, I think it's the most searched high school in the country. Like Google, I mean, it is one of the most popular high schools, maybe even in the world.
Yeah.
I remember Jim Scrumbus, the head of school, telling me that he was out of the country somewhere and he had a Sierra Canyon hoodie on, and a kid stopped him.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and the kid like wanted some gear, you know, and so it just goes to show you the reach that school has, especially with all the celebrities and athlete players that compete there in different sports. But I think in a long-winded way, getting to know coaches like yourself, Stefanie, it really actually is kind of a normal experience for those kids, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be completely honest. I've been there for a while, right? A long time. I've been along for this ride of where we started to where we are now. So for me, it's always been a grounded and normal place. And I don't think people really believe that,
they don't.
But I know, but it is. I mean, we have a lot of the same coaches that I started with the same day. I mean, we are truly a family there. We've all kind of grown up together. We've all watched this phenomena happen, right? There's not this vibe of competition there. It's like support, you know, if it's just like last week, I win a big match, maybe football loses a big match. He's calling me to be like, hey, we may not have gotten it done, but you did. And we're so excited for you. And so there's a circle of support there that I don't know if you find everywhere. And we all have been through ups and downs there in our own particular sports, right? Our own individual sports. And it just has always felt like even when you may not be having the best week or the best month, like you're still excited and proud and happy for what's going on campus wide. And that really drives us all because we're all looking to do the same thing there. And in terms of the kids, I mean,
normal kids, man.
I mean, I don't know about normal kids. Like you said, like, you know, these kids are
of affluent nature for the most part.
For the most part.
Yeah.
And they have access to a lot of things that other kids may not. I think a big part of my coaching is making sure that they're reminded of that, of what their access is and what their privilege is. And because sometimes I feel like that can work against an athlete, right? So really, truly reminding them, like, there may be things that you're given right now, but in the real world with sports, you're not going to be given anything. And so, you know, just continually reminding them and pushing to earn the things that they want and be grateful for the things that they have. And I think all of my kids have always been really receptive to that. So it's kind of the best of both worlds because they know what they have. They're willing to be reminded of it, and they're also willing to work really hard to maintain the standard that we're trying to keep there.
People have this perception that it is all glitz and glam over there. And I said, you'd be surprised that a majority of those people over there, and I always say, people like John Ellinghouse and Stefanie Wigfall are probably the most down-to-earth people you will ever meet. And there's more people like that at Sierra Canyon than there are the perception that it gets, which is the glitz and the glam and the Hollywood and the Drakes and the actors coming to the games and all that stuff.
I mean, the basketball games are one thing, right? Like that's the environment of high school sports and the players that we're lucky enough to have there. But, you know, at the end of the day, that's not what it is. That's not what it is and I think that's the reason why there is such a draw to Sierra Canyon. Like these celebrities and these, you know, people in the industry that have a lot of visibility on them. It's like they don't want that for their kids. They want their kids to be able to go somewhere and have a normal life and have a safe environment and have a great education and have access to the same things that they have in terms of athletics and all of that. And it's like, so you're walking around that place, it's the most normal, down-to-earth place in general because that's what these families want for their kids. So I definitely see how the outside perception could be that. But we're trying to create a space that emphasizes the right things. And I truly believe if we were emphasizing the wrong things, we would not be winning there.
Sure.
You know, so I think we'll always have to live with that narrative. And it's, you know, it's cool. It comes with it. Cool too.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, it comes with it.
But anybody that's going to get caught up in that or be there for that reason is going to be on a very short trip.
Yeah, they're going to get weaned out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
The landscape of girls volleyball. I often say, hey, you know, you've got boys basketball, very popular. Mm-hmm. Maybe one of the most popular high school sports in the country.
Yeah.
The girls' version, per se, of that, I think is girls volleyball. It's just as competitive. There are just as many ladies as there are boys basketball players playing girls volleyball. So when I say something like that, is that something you'd agree with? You get it from all facets, whether it be in high school or the club volleyball circuit. It's just as competitive and crazy as boys basketball.
It is. It really is. The numbers in participation show that, just point blank, right? And especially over the past 5 years, the numbers have just skyrocketed. I think we've overtaken, girls basketball in terms of how many kids are playing the sport from year to year. There's been multiple pro leagues that have been started in the past few years, and the amount of just money and interest that's being poured into the sport has obviously contributed to that as well. But absolutely, I mean, it wasn't this way 15 years ago. It really wasn't. And now there's visibility through the Olympics, through these college athletics. I mean, these women, these top tier athletes are choosing volleyball as their sport. And not to mention the diversity aspect of it, right? Because 10, 15 years ago when I was playing, it was not that way. And, it was more of an affluent sport, and now it is a lot of players that were choosing other sports before are now choosing volleyball, and it's created a completely different landscape. It's changed the game in terms of how it's played and what it looks like and the level of athleticism. And yeah, it's growing and growing and growing, and I couldn't be more excited about that, because I think it's the best sport. A little bit biased there, but I think it's the best sport for young girls to play and get that team experience and get that growth in a sport where now they really do have a lot of opportunities moving forward.
One of the high-end players that we talked about a little off air, that I've witnessed at your program is Olivia Babcock. I mean, holy cow, man. I mean, what an electric player. So fun to watch.
Yes.
And just the sweetest young lady, and just won NCAA's National Freshman of the Year at Pitt, right? Can you just talk about, and if I'm not mistaken, kind of started volleyball later. Talk about her journey, and just, she's still getting better, basically.
She is. She was such a multi-sport athlete early on. And, we've known Olivia since she was really young, because she'd been at Sierra Canyon for a long time.
Okay. Kind of like a lifer.
Yeah, she really was.
Okay.
See, you even know the
term.
terminology.
Yeah.
So early on, the volleyball coaches, our eyes just lit up around her, and it was like, hey, Liv, volleyball's really the route you could go. And she's like, yeah, and I love volleyball, but I play water polo and I play soccer. And they did a lot, her and her sister both, they did a lot of different sports, which I really appreciated as well and respected, because making a kid that talented choose early on was not the route to go, right? Because she definitely would have been great at anything that she decided to do. I think it was her sophomore, junior year when she really decided, like, I'm in love with this sport. I can really take this to the next level. And that's really when she started to fully commit and kind of drop some other things that she was doing and go fully into volleyball. And I think it was a couple months before she was on every single radar in the country. There's people that say right now she could be on the Olympic team doing incredible things. So she's going to be exciting to watch over the entire course of her career.
She's what, 6'1", maybe 6'2"?
No, she's got to be pushing 6'3", 6'4".
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just remember, so long, lean, and just as athletic as all get out. Gets off the floor so fast.
And I remember I told you one time, like, I kind of have to tell her not to jump so high.
Yes.
Yeah. And you were like, what kind of coaching is that? And I'm like, no, really, because when you're blocking, if you're jumping as high as you can and reaching as high as you can, you start to create openings, right? Like your hands are too high above the net, and then the goal for blocking is to be low and over and seal the net. And so when she was young, it was like, hey, you gotta kind of tone it down a little bit.
60%.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so that's what an incredible leaper she is, and yeah, I mean she's a once in a generation type athlete for sure, and I feel so lucky to have been on that ride with her.
I think it's a segue to obviously Olivia Babcock, but please, some other standouts. May Pertovsky, that's who it is. Oh man, I was so close. I know she ended up being, was she not the Big Ten Player of the Year?
She did everything. She was at Michigan for 4 years. She spent her 5th year, which was just this past year, at UW in Washington. Set a bunch of records there. I'm still very close with May. She actually came with me this summer and joined my staff on my 15 open team, which won a bronze medal at nationals. And I kid you not, we went on a wild run, and I attribute so much of that to May being on the sideline with me, because she, the way that she was influencing and coaching and just helping my athletes who were freshmen at the time or now sophomores, it was incredible to watch. I mean, it was my favorite part of this entire year. So May she's back home, she's working in the entertainment industry, and she credits her life as an athlete to really developing so many incredible traits that she has. I mean, it's crazy to see her after her college career, it's just the little things like being on time and never missing anything and being on top of any little thing I ask her to do. And she just gets it, right? Because I remember when I've known Mason, she was 11, and it was like, all right, kid, gonna have to figure some stuff out here. And she has done that times 1,000, and she's just the most responsible, well-spoken, future leader. And she's just stepped onto my coaching staff this summer, and it was just so cool. There were times when I just sat back and let her take the huddle and let her do things, because she's that impressive in terms of an overall human at this point. But athletically, she is one of the best athletes I've ever coached in the sport.
Okay.
Yeah.
Changing gears, what's it like coaching with your spouse?
Oh, it is awesome. Well, I will say that. I mean, hey, if we were losing a little bit more this year, the losses get a little tough, right? Because first of all, it's always my responsibility. So there's never ever going to be a situation where I'm going to blame anybody else. But I can imagine me being a little tough to live with after these tough losses. But to be honest with you, it's like coaching with someone that you never have to worry about if they have your back. You never have to worry about if they know what you're thinking before you're even saying it. Darren, my husband, he knows when I need support, when I need a little space. He does things that he knows he's responsible for without me ever having to ask.
Unspoken stuff,
yeah.
Right.
So I absolutely love coaching with him. We don't coach together during the club season, so it's like when we come back to high school.
Is that by design?
Yeah, I think that'd be a little too much.
Okay, got it. No, it's good. It's like healthy, like
that, but mainly because I have to travel so much during club season. So we got to go man-to-man defense with the home life and the travel life.
Got it.
But when we get back to Sierra, it's great because Darren is a guy who is happy when I have the spotlight. And not every man is like that. And even today, he's excited that I get to come and talk to you.
Very cool.
And he gives me all the credit, but in reality, he deserves as much or more. So we have a great partnership, and we were coaching partners a long time before we were, spouses. So we know each other really well, and we each serve a different role. And my other staff, I have Chris Chappelle with me now, and Eric Beck, and some other coaches. So I feel like I have the best staff, but there's something special just about being able to celebrate these wins together. We've had a couple big wins, and we don't get to do much, partying these days per se. We go home and maybe have a toast and kiss
throw
the
on
kids,
a Disney movie and
in bed by 9.
Yeah.
But there's something about accomplishing these things together that is just really special, and I love that. I wouldn't change it. Yeah.
That's awesome. And has he been on your staff? Has Darren been on your staff the whole time you've been
Day
at Sierra?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Day one, actually, Rock. Shout out to Rock, who I miss dearly. He kind of pushed Darren on me. I didn't have any other coaches. All my coaching colleagues were down in LA, and I got to the Valley, and I'm like, oh, sure, they'll drive out here, no problem. And everyone was like, yeah, we're not making that drive. We're not hitting the 405. And so
no shot.
Rock knew Darren, and Darren came in, and Rock was like, I think he's gonna be great. Just give it a go. And I thought, okay, Darren's going to hate this. I don't have many options in general. I don't necessarily like to hire, people that I don't know a little bit. But it was apparent that him and I could work really well together from the very beginning. So, yeah, he's been there since day one.
That is awesome. Last few minutes here. The new playoff system for girls volleyball, it's similar to football. It's kind of the computer rankings.
Yeah.
Boom, they draw lines. Those are the divisions.
Yeah.
I'll just kind of leave it open. Your thoughts on it? You guys are for sure going to be in Division 1, so maybe really doesn't matter to you.
I think it matters a little bit less to us, like you said, in terms of we're having a great year. I think, no matter what, we'll be up in that top group. I am in support of any time an organization is trying to improve on a system, right? And if that's the goal, I'm so for it. I'm always going to be supportive of CIF and everything that they're trying to do for competitive equity and all the things. And I'm lucky enough to be, considered in that top group. And so I trust them. And I also know with any new development or new system, nothing's perfect. And they're going to learn from it. They're going to adjust it. But you know, not my bucket, right? Like, hey, I'm gonna coach and
Just
I'm
tell
gonna
me
try
what
to
the
win.
rules are, man.
Just tell me when to be there.
Yeah.
I can't. I tried understanding the ranking system a little while back, right? Because I want to be able to make smart decisions in terms of scheduling.
Right.
But I think I'll pick up more as it goes. And like I said, I'm always on board to better any system. And I just love the fact that they're trying to push things forward and make what they feel like could be really valuable improvements. So let's go for it. Yeah. You know?
The last thing here, obviously, just maybe a little shout out to the ladies on your team. How Sierra Canyon, you're 22-2 at this point. You are rolling. If I'm not mistaken, the last computer rankings, you guys are #1 in the Southern section, so all eyes are on you.
Mm-hmm.
And you clearly have a good team. So I just want to give you the opportunity to talk about the ladies that are performing well for you this season.
Yeah, absolutely. We are young, which is so exciting because I thought this year, you know, we're gonna take some growing pains, but we're very sophomore heavy. We've got Hannah McGinnis and Eva Jeffries on the outside. Some very high level experienced players in terms of their age group, but in the high school scene, they are young, and they are handling this pressure and the competitiveness at such a high level, which makes me so excited for them and proud of them. We have Lucky Fasavalu, who is a transfer from Lakewood, who is here as a setter, but she kind of does everything, and she's a special kid. I can't wait for you to get a chance to see her play. She does everything, and just the best kid, attitude, just a bright light in our gym, which has been so fun to welcome her into the program. We got seniors Brandy Boston, who, if I could show you a clip of Brandy Boston in 9th grade.
No relation.
Yes, relation. Little sister.
Is she just as good an athlete?
She is now. I mean, she has, like, Brandy as a 9th grader, I say that lovingly, like, Brandy as a 9th grader was still trying to figure it out. She was growing into her body. She's long.
Little baby giraffe kind of thing
100%,
going.
Yeah. And now she is committed to Florida A&M, and she is just killing it for us this season, her senior year.
For those that don't know, Brandon Boston's Junior's younger sister. Yeah. Now in the NBA. Go ahead.
Now in the NBA. And she's doing fantastic. We have Devin Antoine Dillon, who's been a big, huge offensive help for us all season long on the opposite. And Olive Shum Kubek is another setter, sophomore again, another sophomore. And we've got Leah Madariaga, a sophomore DS. And we've only got 13 kids this year, so I'm going to shout them all out.
Go for it.
We've got Kalyani Olive, who's another transfer, came from a school in LA and just was really craving to play at the highest level that she can. And she's been there just totally digging in and working hard, and, has this belief that iron sharpens iron, and she's been doing incredible as well. We got Ziggy Rex, who is a junior, been at Sierra Canyon, waiting for her time to get out there and do her thing, and she's been great. We have got some great kids in the program, and everybody's bought in. Denise Barcat, another DS, Maddie Zaragoza, a junior DS that is coming in huge for us serving wise as well. It's a group that I really didn't know how much the learning curve would affect us, and they have just absolutely went for it and have proved some people wrong. And I think, like you said, the target is very big right now, and we're going into another tough week of Mission League competition. And I don't want to say I'm already happy with this season, because there's much more to accomplish, but I already feel really good that we've been able to set a tone for the next few years of what we're gonna bring. And last and not least, our senior Lauren Lynch, who it's hard for me to even talk about because she is the linchpin of, no pun intended, of this program defensively. And it's her senior year, and she'll be headed to USD, San Diego. And it meant a lot for me because Lauren's expectations are big. She is a competitor, and she is not going to let anything drop. So I knew it was important for us to come out and really battle this year and be at her level,
despite being young. Gotcha.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
And she's been a great leader with this young core, and it's fun. I love this team, man. I will rock with this team, and the future is super bright for us.
I lied. I got one more.
Yeah.
Because our producer's going to get upset with me if I don't bring this up. Outdoor volleyball game.
Yes.
At Campbell Hall. Pretty unique. I saw the photos. Pretty unique scenario. It got claimed as the first indoor girls volleyball game played outside at the high school level in Southern California. That, if I'm not right, that's what it was marked up as.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's true.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of talk. It was a great setup. Talk about the experience and what that was like.
You know, those coaches at Campbell Hall, Kat Thayer, Nicole FCF, they're good friends of mine. They coach with me at my club, and so when I got the call when they invited me to bring Sierra Canyon and join them with this, I was so thrilled because I think they could have invited anybody, right? And they chose to include us. So first and foremost, I was so grateful that they included us. The environment was really, really cool. It was incredible. It was a great night, beautiful weather. The whole Campbell Hall community, it felt like, was out there and supporting the girls volleyball in general. And it was just fun. I mean,
Unique,
I think
for sure.
for sure. And the girls were same as me. The girls were like, what's this going to be like? But once we got out there,
floor was good. The whole
floor
nine.
was good. Of course, there's so much effort went into that
Right.
floor and just the whole setup in general and the way that they treated us and took care of us and made sure that we were good. And overall, it was just an incredible experience. I hope it sets a trend of like doing some more things like this, because once we got out there and we got into the flow of the game, I kind of sat back for a second and was like, don't forget to enjoy this, because this is really cool that you're out here, that these kids get to experience it, that you've got a crowd of people around that are appreciating girls volleyball the way that it should be, and just a really cool event. I'm so lucky that we got the girls to participate in that.
You kind of almost had like a Friday Night Lights
Yeah.
aspect. That game was played in the evening, right?
Yeah, it was a 7 p.m. game. There's some photos going around that I've seen of just like the most perfect sunset.
Yep.
And the fact that they put all that together, I think they knew that it could be a really incredible event. They pulled it off. It was great. I think maybe they'll do it again next year, and maybe it'll be a tradition for them because they have that beautiful field, and it was just a great idea, and so well carried out. So I couldn't be happier to have been a part of that.
Stefanie, we appreciate you coming on today. Learned so much about volleyball, learned so much about you. Quartz Hill High School stand up. Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so much. I really just appreciate being here, and it's been cool. Like, you and I go back a long time, and it's cool to see everything you're doing, and anytime I can sit down and talk with you is something I'm on board with.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. That's another edition of the Southern Section Sit Down. I'm Tarek Patel with SB Live. Don't forget scorebooklive.com. Scores, news, schedules, rankings, the whole nine. We got it for the whole country, and especially here in the CIF Southern Section. Thanks for watching.